Have you ever wanted to choose the hours you work, choose where you work, choose the people you want to work with, leverage the skills that you really enjoy using, and create your own business with unlimited earning potential? Well, one option is to set yourself up as a virtual assistant. You'll be able to work remotely, and as long as you have a good internet connection and technical skills that are in demand, you can work from home or choose to go to your client's office or even potentially work from a beautiful sandy beach somewhere. This episode focuses on what it takes to be a virtual assistant. What skills could you leverage? They could be database management, website design, diary management, social media management, podcast editing, events organization, or a host of administrative or other skills. It just depends on what you can and want to offer. One lady who has done this successfully is Diana Holwerda, and in this podcast episode, she tells us how she made the transition from a corporate career to entrepreneur and now is a virtual assistant who also partners with a team of talented service providers who she can tap into as and when the need arises for her clients. This is an episode that tells you how a young mum can be a great mum and be a successful business owner too. Not only that, how you can set yourself up to have a flexible and rewarding business too.
Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Well, hello and welcome back to my Careers podcast, where I interview fascinating professionals who've made amazing career changes. And today I'm very lucky to have Diana Holwerda here with me, and she is the owner and director of Virtual Assistant for Your Biz. And she's also one of the co-founders of the popular networking group Mum Entrepreneurs Australia. Diana empowers and encourages women to balance work and family life. She inspires them to use the skills that they already have mastered by assisting them to identify their core skills, pinpoint and segment their target market, and provide them with the tools needed to set up their own business as a virtual assistant. She does this through her Become Empowered and Work from Home as a Virtual Assistant workshop. She's been featured in the Manly Daily, KidSpot, Mashable, the Sydney Morning Herald, and much, much more. So let's welcome Diana to the show. Hi, Diana.
Hi, Jane. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I've been looking forward to chatting with you for quite a while. And as you know, in my podcast, it's all about career transition and how you manage the changes and reinvent yourself. But let's kick off with what your early career aspirations were when you were dreaming about it as a little girl.
I've always wanted to travel the world. And as soon as I was old enough, I did. I was 21 and I went to America. And I worked and lived there for a year and traveled all over America. And then when I came back, I couldn't find a job. I had a diploma in marketing and management and couldn't find a job. Went back to school and became a secretary. That led me then, for some reason, with American Airlines. And I worked with them in reservations. Did that for a year and a half. Again, traveled the world. Had lots of fun, worked at Dublin, Ireland, then moved to London and worked at the London Heathrow Airport. So again, lots of travel. That led me to actually in Australia. And this is where I had a look around and I thought, this sounds like a very interesting place. And when I was 26, I moved to Sydney, Australia, and I never looked back really. So I never really had a career planned. My idea was to work in an advertising agency. That never happened. I ended up working as a secretary, a PA, and then an office manager. Then after so many years working here in Australia, I ended up getting married. I had 2 beautiful children. And I decided after I had my first child that going back to work was just not going to work out for us. And within a year, I had started up my own business working from home, providing office support to business owners here locally on the northern beaches of Sydney. I never really had a career as such. I was never a career girl. However, I knew that when I became a mum, staying at home was never going to be for me either. I was never going to be one of those mums who was going to make all the beautiful little muffins and do all the crafty things with my kids. I always wanted to do something outside of the home. And I think by working from home as a virtual assistant, plus I was doing on-site support as well, for me, it was the perfect combination. Plus, I was making a bit of an income. The first 2 years were hard because I was probably undercharging myself and I was having way too many clients because I kept saying yes to everybody. Then I had number two, my second child coming, and I realized that was going to be just too much for me to handle. And that's when I started to learn how to say no to people, value my services and increase my hourly rate. I learned a lot. Those first 2 years were really important for me. I learned to be more assertive. So I'm not a very aggressive person. I don't go out and demand things, but becoming a business owner has given me a lot of new tools, new things, new skills that I've learned. And then, well, it's been 9 years now, and now I'm very happy to say that I now teach other women, other mums, how they can set up their business working from home. So that even, I love doing that. That just sort of, it really inspires me. And occasionally the women who have come through my workshop will come up to me at the local shopping centre and they tell me what they've done and how far they've come and how that I have inspired them by taking that first step. So, I'm very grateful that this opportunity came up to me and, I sort of developed it. But I love that I had sort of that brainwave, and as you said before, I was running a network group with my ex-business partner called Mom Entrepreneurs. And I guess we did that for 5 years. So that was something that I had never done before. I never did events, had no experience in that area at all. And I learned again so much, learned to network, learned to stand in front of a group of 40 women and have a speech and which was quite nerve-wracking. There were a lot of times I would sort of wing it, and then halfway through I would realize that I should have probably be more prepared. So I learned a lot of things. I learned to write my notes and be more prepared, and we started looking for more interesting speakers, and I found that I really like doing events and doing my workshops now. Standing there in the front of a group of 10, 15 women, even though I get still a little bit nervous, it does not intimidate me. I'm quite happy doing it. And then if you see the women who take the opportunity, they walk out of there and they go, yes, I can do this. And later on, they do. They get back in touch with me and they said that they've set up a business and they want to share their website with me and getting that back, that feedback from me. And I love seeing that. I love it. I've had some people say, why would I do it? Would I not be seeing them as competition? And I've always said no. There's so much work out there for everybody. Everybody has their own specific niche. One client might prefer me. The other client might say, look, I don't like working with you. I prefer the other person. So to me, I don't see it as competition. I think there's so much work around, and I work with clients in the US mostly, some in the UK. I unfortunately don't work with a lot of people here in Australia anymore. But I think it's been inspiring what I've done, and I'm very happy to continue.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting how your career has progressed, because you found ways to make it work, from leaving the Netherlands, which is your home, to going to Dublin and then to London, and then at the age of 26, moving to Sydney, and then working in administrative EAPA type roles before going into reservation sales with American Airlines and developing your communication skills and all of that travel. It would have given you a really good international outlook. And there's so many of us, when you have children, then it's like, oh, okay, am I going to continue working after we finish mat leave and go back into full-on career? Or how can I balance? Did you find that you were a little bit torn between, should I be spending more time as mum, or I really want to progress my career? Was that a little bit challenging for you?
I think especially when they were really young. But I think I'm a better mum for it, to be honest. I'm a happier person when I go out and do these things. Occasionally, my kids will say, oh, I wish I could stay home. And sometimes I will give in. Honestly, I'll admit that. I'll go, okay, let's have a day off. And, they can stay home for one day. They know that they have to go back to school the following day, but we can just have a day off. And they just want to just relax and just hang out with me, and that's fine. And I'm grateful that I can offer that to them as well. I think when they were little, I found it quite hard to leave them, but most of the times they would actually go to my mother-in-law, so they wouldn't actually stay with a stranger. So that made it a little bit easier for me. I have missed a few things along the way, like, I would come and pick them up and my mother-in-law said, oh, they said mama to me. And I'm like, oh, I've missed that. I've completely missed out on that first word. It was actually another mum here on the Northern Beaches who offered me the opportunity to work for her. However, she said, you have to be a subcontractor. You have to register your ABN. So I had no idea about becoming a business owner. I never wanted to be a business owner. I always thought it was too much hassle and too much responsibility. But I did. It took me, 15 minutes to register. I was quite excited about the whole new direction my life was taking, and I was having my business cards designed, and I set up my own website in the beginning. And, like I said, those first 2 years, I had so many clients because by, people just referring me and finding out about that I was offering this, and I could come to their office or their home office right here on the Northern Beaches. I wasn't doing the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday career thing. Do you know what I mean? I was gone for like 4 hours and then I would be back again. So it was a nice diversion for me. I was able to go to somebody else's house, have a look at their mess, and usually it was a lot less messy than my place. Work on somebody else's computer. I learned to work on a Mac instead of a PC. And I was having some adult conversation, which I was really missing way in the beginning. When when your children are little, all you're doing is talking to babies and telling them what to do and what not to do. So it was very stimulating for me.
Yeah, some mums feel, like the mummy guilt for leaving the children, but then others,
sometimes,
as you say, you need to be happy within yourself as well. So if you can find a good balance so that you've got the time with the kids, but also have some time for yourself where you feel that you're doing something that maybe, is contributing as well, and still using your brain in addition to being a wonderful mum. That's finding that happy medium is important.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned more these last 9 years being a business owner and being, working as a virtual assistant than I think I would have if I had stayed in employment. I learned to create websites. I learned to design newsletters and, what social media was all about, and all these different social media platforms and how to use those and how to set up an ad campaign. I would have never used that if I had stayed as an office manager or as a PA. Maybe social media, but, all those other things, they tend to get, looked after by an IT department, or it gets outsourced to somebody else.
With your virtual assistant for your biz, tell us about this business, and what are all of the services that you're able to provide to other mums who are thinking about, getting into the business as well as helping other small businesses?
Okay, so my business is actually, it's not just me. I've got a team of 6 virtual assistants. Most of them are based here in Australia. I've got a copywriter, I've got a website developer, I've got somebody who looks after the social media. I've got somebody who's similar to my skills, so who has a secretarial background, who can do some formatting, who can do database management. So when I started out, I was offering lots of different types of services. I have now narrowed it down to just focusing on online marketing. So we mostly focus on building websites, building newsletters, and building databases, and looking after all of that. We do social media as well. So we set them up, we set all the platforms up, we design the layout of it, and we can look after the social media for people. We can also run ad campaigns. What I recommend to women who come through my workshop, when I teach them, they said, "Oh, what should I offer as a service?" And I'm like, you can offer, narrow it down, just offer maybe 3 or 4 services. And they're like, "Oh, but what if that's not enough?" And I said, well, you can get people through the door by those 2 or 3 services. Once you have your first client, you can then say, well, actually, apart from doing social media, I can also do graphic design. I can also do copywriting. I can also do website building, or managing your website. So that is what I've learned. Instead of offering so many services, I just have narrowed it down. I have now a niche where I just focus on the online marketing, mainly because after all those years, I've realized that's what I enjoy most. So what you enjoy most is what you're going to do the best.
Mm-hmm.
And the jobs that like database management, that's how I started out. I did not enjoy. It was time consuming. It was boring. However, it was my foot in the door. So a lot of the clients initially signed up with me. I would pick up shoe boxes filled with business cards, and I would take them home and I would turn them all into a spreadsheet and then send them back to the client. Then after a while, people would say, "Okay, what else can you do?" And I'm like, "Great. These are all my other services that I can offer." This is what I mostly focus on, and this is what I also try to tell the women, the mums that come through my workshop, is to, before you do anything, have a good think about what you want to offer as a service. Start out small. Don't offer everything under the sun, because people are not going to believe that. They think your quality of service that you provide is usually not very good. So you offer 3 or 4 services, and then later on you can expand. I always, one of the main things that I've learned is it's easier to go back to your existing clients and offer them different types of services than to actually go out and find new clients, which is a much more time consuming and, exhausting, to be honest. It's easier to just go back to the clients that you already have and see how else you can help them, in growing their business.
Yeah, because you've already developed the reputation there, and they know
That's
you,
right.
they like you, they trust you. And
Yeah.
so if you can say, "Oh, okay, I can get up to speed with this as well," then you've already got that good relationship. Because,
That's right.
you're absolutely right. Getting the new client is the hard thing, but then upselling in a way to existing clients to say, "Hey, I can also help you in this area," makes such a difference. But niching, I think, for any business is important, because too many business owners think, "Oh, we're going to get into this and then we'll get into that. And
Yeah.
and then if I cast my net wide enough, I'll get lots of business." The problem is that you get a lot of rubbish too. So it's much better just to focus on area of expertise. And you're absolutely right with regard to do what you enjoy doing, because then you can do so much more of it and you won't get bored, will you?
No, and I think when you do occasionally we'll have some deadlines for newsletters that need to go out. And because it's second nature to me and I enjoy doing it, sometimes when I have to do it, I don't really do any evening work anymore or on the weekend. If I have to, if it's at 10 o'clock at night, I don't mind because I'm happy to do it. I enjoy doing it. If somebody says, oh, can you enter all these numbers into a spreadsheet at 10 o'clock at night, even though it's a really good client, I'll be saying, no, I'm sorry. Because I know I won't be able to focus. I know I'll probably get sleepy and trying to look at these numbers, and it's not going to happen, and I won't do a very good job at it. So building a newsletter or uploading, a new contact list into MailChimp, for instance, it will take me 10 minutes, 15 minutes of my time. So yeah, and I had to learn that. Unfortunately, I didn't know this, but after so many years, I realized that by actually focusing on the jobs, on the service that I enjoy most, it was easy for me to do the job, and clients were actually coming back for it.
Now, your passion is in the online marketing and helping people to
Yes.
build their businesses, and so now you've mentioned MailChimp as well. What are the systems or the software as a service that you recommend your clients to use?
So there's actually a couple of new softwares out there that I'm working with at the moment, but I think the basic setup that any business should have is obviously a website. You would need a newsletter software. So I recommend MailChimp. MailChimp is, for the first 2,000 subscribers, is free of charge. It allows you to create an opt-in form that you could put on your website. For the website, I would recommend WordPress. If you are going to be an online shop, I would recommend Shopify. There's a couple of other programs out there. Like I use Canva a lot, which is again a free software that allows you to design Facebook banners and newsletter banners, and lots of images that you can use for social media as well. So one of the new softwares I'm working with at the moment, and you and I have spoken about that before, is ClickFunnels. I'm using that quite a bit for my own workshop. I'm starting to share it with some of my clients. They're a bit hesitant, and that's more, I think, because ClickFunnels has a monthly subscription fee. So that makes people a bit hesitant. But I have to say, for me, it works really well. ClickFunnels is like, it almost gets rid of the whole website and MailChimp. It's like a one-stop program, basically. So it has a landing page. People can either open it, they can actually sign up to, for instance, getting an ebook, or they can sign up to getting view a webinar, and it allows you to upsell or downsell depending on what people are clicking on. You have already gotten their email address, so you're already building a database as well, and so people can already buy something within that ClickFunnel. So I'm loving this new program at the moment, but it's not a free one.
Yeah, software as a system is fabulous. There are so many tools out there that can help small business owners to get up and running without having to pay a fortune. And it's great that during your workshop, you're able to explain to people who are aspiring to become entrepreneurs or setting up their own virtual assistant business that they can actually set themselves up very inexpensively and get up and running in a very short period of time. So that's really inspiring for moms who've maybe got children and they feel that they're stuck. And
That's
what
right.
else could I do? So it's almost like, look, if you're not sure what you can do, as long as you've got skills that you can market, you can become a virtual assistant.
That's right. And one of the things I share in the workshop is that just because the name virtual assistant, it can be a little bit misleading. People automatically assume it relates to personal assistant, so it must be secretarial. But basically, a virtual assistant can be anything that can be done remotely using the internet and having access, to a computer. So you could be a journalist, you could be a graphic designer, a website developer, you could be, looking after social media. like myself, I've gone more towards the technical side of running a business instead of the more secretarial. So that's why we do a lot of online marketing. So you need more technical skills, setting up a newsletter and looking after a website and all that. But there's many. When people come through the workshop and they're sort of confused, they don't know what skills they should use, and so that's when we do a little bit of digging. When we first started the workshop, I asked them, what did you do before this? What is your background? Some of them did event management, and they go, oh, how can I do that now? I said, well, you can. You still can do event management. You might have to go on site, so depending on what you want to offer as a service, you can still offer event management. You can have other people in other cities checking out venues for you if you wanted to, but the organization of an event can be done remotely. You don't have to be in an office to do that. So I had a lovely lady years ago who she did actually some writing for me, and then she ended up what happened with her? That's right. She was a journalist at the Sydney Morning Herald, and she got pregnant with twins. She was meant to go back to work after that. She decided after the twins, it was absolutely impossible. And so she came to me and she said, what should I do? And I said, you already have the perfect profession. You are a journalist. You can write anywhere. So that's what she ended up doing. So she does freelancing now, and she writes ghost articles for business owners, people who have been asked to write an article, but actually don't have the skills to write an article for a magazine. She rewrites resumes. She updates LinkedIn profiles sometimes. She also writes short stories for people. I think it's probably been the best thing for her, and she is able to stay home and look after her children. So there's many different options. It's not just secretarial. That's what a lot of people seem to think, but it's not.
Yeah, well, remote workers now, it's so much a trend where so many people do want to work from home. And whether you're a journalist or you're a writer or whether you're a project manager, because of all the tools that you can use and because of say Skype or using Zoom and being able to work remotely very easily with everybody, it's made it more of a global economy, and the world is a lot smaller now, isn't it? So Diana, if someone wanted to find out more about your business, where would they be able to find you?
So I have a website, which is www.virtualassistant4, so that's numeric 4, yourbiz, biz.com. If they want to find out a little bit more about the workshop, they can go to www.virtualassistant workshop, and then again, numeric 4, mums.com.
I'll have all of these links on my show notes on janejacksoncoach.com. So if you want to find out more about becoming a virtual assistant or having a chat with Diana to find out, how she actually made this transition into becoming a successful VA and trainer of virtual assistants as well, you can learn a lot more about her. So thank you so much for your time today, Diana, and sharing all of the different tools that you use and how you train others into becoming a virtual assistant. Actually, it's almost like freedom for mums, isn't it? It enables them to be able to do something different, whereas, they might have felt, what else can I do now? Do I actually go back to work and become an employee again? Or can I start to take control of my own time so that I can have time with my children and enjoy it?
That's right. And potentially earn more than if they stayed in employment, to be honest.
Absolutely. Very inspiring. So thank you so much for your time, Diana. Wish you all the success in the world for the Virtual Assistant Workshop and everything else that you do. And we will talk to you again soon.
Great. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Jane.
Thank you, Diana. Bye.
Bye.
If you'd like to find out how coaching can help you, visit janejacksoncoach.com, where not only will you be able to listen to other fascinating interviews from professionals who've made amazing career changes, you'll also be able to download some free ebooks and guides on how to manage your career effectively.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.